Apparently, Newsmax has had to apologize to Mike Lindell.
Folks, if you watch American...
I would assume not for any kind of legal reason, but because they're afraid of losing their nut job fucking viewers who love the Mr. Pillow guy.
Yesterday, you may have seen something out of the ordinary happen during an interview with Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow. Mike is a friend of this network, and we were supposed to discuss Twitter's decision to ban him and the impacts of cancel culture on his business. But there was some confusion, and Mike thought that we were to talk about vote fraud.
They're absolute fucking idiots.
It's a topic we have covered extensively on Newsmax. I was frustrated that we couldn't focus on the current, very pressing issue of free speech and cancel culture. And in hindsight, there is no question that I could have handled the end of the interview.
Cancel culture.
At Newsmax, we seek out all points of view. Mike was back on Newsmax last night with Rob Schmidt on his show to continue the conversation about cancel culture and the censorship by social media. Mike also made clear he thinks Newsmax is great, his words, and I can tell you he will continue to be an important guest on Newsmax. I think you'll enjoy what Mike had to say last night, so here it is.
Let's hear it.
Well, they took down my personal one too, and then just yesterday, I actually put up on my Pillow account, I put down, hey you guys, here's what I posted on my personal, why Jack took this down, and it was a nice letter from one of my employees because my integrity is getting attacked everywhere right now. And
what integrity?
And so now it's funny, all the news media was reaching out to me today going, well, how are you going to get your messaging out there? How are you going to talk to...
Imagine going from crackhead to CEO to crackpot. They did try to cancel him. They had to apologize for dishing out some censorship on their own. I could not imagine having to kiss Mike Lindell's ass.
Your customers, and you know what? Our customers have always stepped up right now. It's amazing. Just like Newsmax did, you know.
I definitely couldn't imagine kissing him. I can't imagine anybody would kiss that man.
.com, and you saved up to 66%, and you can still do that. You guys.
Oh my, he's fucking 66% on fucking pillows.
It's not just Twitter.
Apparently, David Hogg is launching a pillow brand to compete with MyPillow.
Companies that are on Twitter, right. Those guys are the ones that attacked all these box stores and stuff. So then it just, cancel culture just keeps on spreading.
Yeah. And like you said, how many of these people are actually real? How many people are actually offended by any of the things that we're so worried about canceling in this society right now? All of it is so stupid. We talked to you last week about former business partners that have dropped your products from their shelves, just like you're just talking about.
Which is their right in a free market, right?
Weathering that storm. And what do you think is next for your business?
Well, I want to add one more to that list to make sure we don't forget them. Mattress Firm dropped us this week, and Shop HQ in Minnesota. So they just keep piling on. I think they sit out there and they go, okay, now we can do it. My Pillow won't notice. But you know what? I want to tell them they're the biggest ones that are the losers because they're the ones losing the real customers, and they end up coming right to My Pillow now. And great companies,
I'm not going to besmirch someone for crack, but it would surprise me after all the pressure that he's been under if he doesn't relapse. Come on.
We've been so busy.
This is a man that is mere weeks away from jacking it in San Diego.
Every one of you out there that have bought My Pillow, you know, we have over 110 products too. We're not just
into a My Pillow. He's going to jack it in San Diego into a My Pillow.
I'm glad to hear you guys are hiring and that the business is surviving this, because it is scary. I mean, it really scares a lot of people, and that's why everybody's walking around on eggshells, because they're worried that if they don't cancel you.
Yes, cancel culture. That is all that these motherfuckers ever talk about. They think that's how they can make headlines, is by talking about cancel culture, like Lauren Boebert, who was on Fox News with Laura Ingraham talking about cancel culture after the Marjorie Taylor Greene vote.
You were singled out by the head of the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee as being next. Your response tonight?
I have been on their list since the day I announced. This certainly isn't a surprise to me. It's kind of a game of whack-a-mole at this point. So you kind of knock one down and three more pop up. But I'm encouraged because I know that the DCCC is terrified.
In that analogy she just made about the whack-a-mole, who is the mole? Is the mole the GOP Congress people that they're trying to take out? Yeah, is this, you say fairly elected. Isn't this the election that you tried to dispute the results of, ma'am? But I still want to know, who was she referring to as a mole in that analogy? Herself? You whack a Marjorie Taylor Greene and a Lauren Boebert pops up over here? That seems like an odd thing to say about yourself.
Of what this freshman class is doing, where the Republican Party is going, and the momentum that is still behind us in 74 million Americans. And I am proud to be a part of this. I am honored to be the first woman to represent the people of Colorado's 3rd District, the first mom that has been sent to Washington, D.C. to be their voice. And so the DCCC can throw whatever they want at me. It's not going to stick. I'll keep whacking down the moles. And you're exactly right. We can't just keep
Democrats or the moles.
Republicans to the DCCC and to the Democrat Party. They will look after their next head
But
to
this
scalp.
isn't about, I just want to make this very clear to everyone watching now. We have to translate Washington to the rest of the country every night. With all due respect, it's not about you. It's not about Congresswoman Greene. It's not.
They translate Washington into their own filter of propaganda so that they can misinform people, and then I watch them and then translate them for you guys. Sorry, it's a symbiotic relationship that we're working on here.
It's not about any one of you. This is about trying to take out anyone ever connected to Donald Trump, because they don't want to have to spend that much money again to meet someone like him in 2024. That means take out anyone connected with him. They said it's a third of the Republican Party or a third of the country. Still,
I would welcome. I would fucking welcome Donald Trump to run again if the fucking Democrats were competent. Because it's a slam dunk to beat Donald Trump if you run a good candidate that actually does something for the people. I don't have that much confidence in the Democrats. He should be barred from running. My concern not so much is barring him from running for office. That's not the part that I would focus on if I was trying to sell things as a Democrat. If I was a Democratic strategist on MSNBC or something, I would sell it as revoking his pension so that we're not paying for that motherfucker this entire time. That he doesn't have Secret Service on the taxpayer's dime. It's not just Boebert and Greene. There's some other fucking. Louis Gohmert is a nut job. Madison Cawthorn is another one that we need to look at. So we talked about yesterday on the stream. We talked about the difference between people who are stupid in the Republican Party and people who are smart in the. I don't know that Boebert is smart enough to really understand QAnon. She may though. She may. She's a decent speaker.
They want to brand as racist or white supremacist, even though they were quite popular among various minority groups.
Laura, you are absolutely right. This is a movement that the Democrats can't seem to stop. They have spent millions of dollars trying to do that. And in all of this,
she got her GED in 2020.
And show that they're never going to hold one another accountable.
I mean, it's never
to stand on their own and be accountable for their own decisions.
I don't want to knock somebody for continuing their education, for going back, getting your GED. That's a wonderful thing. I encourage anybody to do that. However, perhaps we shouldn't elect somebody who has a GED to Congress. That may just be me. I kind of want somebody who's had a well-rounded liberal arts education immediately before. Well, I better go get my GED because it'll look bad on me while I'm running for Congress. God. She's from Colorado. I shouldn't do a Southern accent. I'm sitting in Alabama doing a fucking Southern accent for somebody from Colorado. Surely that is. But what point in 2020 had she already won the primary? Did she win the Republican primary without even being a high school graduate and then went and got her GED? Because, like, oh God, it might look bad in the general. Or did she go get it before she actually ran in the primary?
Decisions. Really, the Democrat Party is a party of cancel culture. That's a pillar of the Democrat Party. When you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez accusing Senator Cruz of nearly murdering her, or comparing Congressman Chip...
Not what she accused Cruz of doing. She accused Cruz of inciting the people that wanted to have her murdered by feeding into the lie that the Republican Party, or at least Trump and his minions, keep telling, that the election was stolen when it wasn't.
Roy's actions to a sexual abuser. This is ridiculous, and someone at some time needs to hold them accountable.
No. I think that analogy was great. Unlike your whack-a-mole analogy.
Former congressmen, who don't have to actually answer to constituents anymore, like the never Trumper Charlie Dent. And he thinks he has a way of saving the GOP. Watch.
The party needs to make a clean break from Trump, and I would argue a clean break from Trumpism, with all of its ugly populism, isolationism, protectionism. We need to empower Adam Kinzinger and those who want a new direction for the party that is much more socially tolerant, constructively engaged on the international and domestic stage.
What he means by socially tolerant is not a white supremacist party that's racist as fuck, xenophobic.
I certainly didn't come here to oppose Republicans. That's not the fight that I was sent here to be a part of. And so my agenda is taking back the House in 2022 and representing the people of Colorado. But I don't see the Republican Party going away from this America First agenda. Laura, that's what motivated me to get to Washington, D.C. I have 4 children. I know that conservative values are what leads them to a free and prosperous life. They are.
I can't even imagine having one child.
Dependent on Democrat policies, and those policies failed me. They led me to stand in line for government cheese. Well, because the American dream is still available, now I'm in Washington, D.C., fighting to make sure no one else ever has to do that.
Well, they're afraid of you. You're optimistic, you're young, you're new, and they want to scare you. And it sounds like they're not doing.
She never stood in line for government cheese.
Thank you so much.
That's not something that's happened in this country in fucking 50 years. Longer. What the fuck is she talking about? Holy shit. Speaking of shit, Mike Lindell's Absolute Proof documentary got yanked down from YouTube. Nothing wrong with working at 15. That's right around the time I started working. Oh, so they've got it. They got it up on Vimeo, but there's a false information thing. There is a. Wait, she already had a child at 15? Well, I guess. Oh God. It really does sound like she's from Eastern Kentucky. That's like the story of all of my neighbors from where I'm from. This is the disclaimer that starts that bookends the Mike Lindell documentary that's airing on OAN.
Airtime for the broadcast of this program on One America News Network. Mr. Lindell is the sole author and executive producer of this program and is solely and exclusively responsible for its content. The topic of this broadcast is the 2020 election. OAN has undertaken its own reporting on this topic. This program is not the product of OAN's reporting.
Now, Dominion and Smartmatic have already informed OAN this ain't good enough. We warned you about doing this shit.
Producers or advertisers are theirs and theirs alone, and are not adopted or endorsed by OAN or its owners. In particular, OAN
And apparently the Smartmatic Dominion people, their lawyers,
in this program
feel that this is just a final nail in the coffin of their case, that they've won.
Inc. and any related
They might very well take down OAN.
Brian Kemp, Brad Raffensperger, or Gabriel Sterling. Further, the statements and claims expressed.
So let's get a little taste of it. Here we go.
Miracles that happened these last couple months. The first miracle was on election night. And on election night at 11:15 at night, the algorithms of these machines basically broke. And this will be explained during this show. But they broke. What that means...
They basically broke. Does he even know what a goddamn algorithm is? How does an algorithm break, Mike? I would love for him to explain this.
Is Donald Trump got so many more millions of votes that they didn't expect that they're going to have to go recalibrate, right? So that's why all these states shut down. All of a sudden,
No. I got for legal purposes, I got to point out that they did not produce any of this footage. Apparently, Lindell produced everything, and they are not associated with it. What they are saying is that was a paid ad. That Mike Lindell paid for the hour of ad time. They're actually airing it 12 different times over the course of the next 3 or 4 days. It's yanked down from YouTube, but looks like it's on Vimeo. Do you want to... get a little... Nope, it's been yanked down from Vimeo. Because it counted too much. So, I'm sure it's out there if you guys would like to torture yourselves by going and finding Mike Lindell.